Okay, wir sind zurück hier am Expert Rocket Beans Stand und freuen uns jetzt über Gäste zum Thema The Elder Scrolls Online. Und ja, am besten stellt ihr euch selber kurz vor. Please introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm Matt Firor. I'm the game director on Elder Scrolls Online at ZeniMax Online.
All right.
Mein Name ist Kai Schober, ich bin Community Manager für Bethesda und unter anderem zuständig für die Elder Scrolls Online.
Ihr habt jetzt zur Gamescom einen neuen Trailer rausgehauen. You just released a new trailer for Gamescom showing the upcoming features and what's going on in Elder Scrolls Online. Probably we will just start with that. Wir schauen uns jetzt einmal den neuen Gamescom-Trailer zum Spiel an. Einmal bitte jetzt abfahren.
The ruins of Mazatun. The cradle of shadows. Unveil the lady of lace. Find her idol of worship. Burn her notes, then destroy her. Crush these savages.
No one escapes, not afraid of the dark, are you?
So, before we discuss your new add-on Shadows of the Hist, let's start with the question: how happy are you with the way that Elder Scrolls Online has performed since it launched?
Yeah, it's really gone great. You know, we launched 2 years ago on PC, and then 1 year ago on console. So since console launch, we've had five DLC launches, all of which have been really well received. So the video you're seeing now was for the latest one. It launched 2 days ago on console. So
Okay.
yeah, the game's going great.
How's your user base spread across the different platforms? You probably have most people on PC playing?
You know, I think because we have both console platforms and PC, we have slightly more on console. But it is an Elder Scrolls game, so there are lots of console Elder Scrolls fans. So we announced at E3 just 2 months ago. We have over 7 million people that have played the game since launch. So we have a very large user base.
So why are there so few MMOs on consoles? Isn't there the I don't know, do console players like different games than PC gamers?
No, I think traditional MMOs always have a very complicated keyboard scheme. You need 38 keys and control and shift. But Elder Scrolls Online, we only had 5 or 6 commands at a time, and that mapped very easily to controller. So it made it easy for us to make it on console because there weren't so many commands.
So what are like the main improvements that you're probably making to the game mechanics that you're identifying as problems before and which you try to change now in the latest add-on as well?
Yeah, we had between PC launch and console launch, we had many updates of changes and fixes and new features. And we're not done. Every time we do an update, which is every 3 months or so, we add new things. For example, our next update is Tamriel, where we make the world levelless, so it doesn't matter what level your character is. Like every Elder Scrolls game, you can go anywhere in the world you want, and the world adjusts to your character level.
Okay.
So the Elder Scrolls series is of course a very famous roleplay gaming franchise. So how ambitious was your, I call it a project, but your game when you first said, okay, let's do this online? I guess there's like this you have to deliver for such hardcore fans. It's not easy, I guess.
Yeah, you have to take a very famous and loved single-player franchise and make it fun, make it a fun single-player game, but also have other people in it. So, yeah, very complicated process. So we tried to take the best features from Elder Scrolls and then the best features from MMOs and kind of put them together and make them work together.
When you're thinking about gaining new players for the game, I can imagine that with every add-on, people might get a little bit confused or find it harder to get into the game because their mindset is like, okay, there's another add-on, so there's even more stuff that I haven't played yet. But at the same time, I can imagine you're trying to lower the bar and to find new players and to lure them into playing the game. How do you level that out and how do you try to attract new players even when releasing new content all the time?
So that's exactly why we're doing one Tamriel, because since the game doesn't really require levels anymore, you can come into the game now and play, if you were a level 5 player, and you could play with a veteran rank character once one Tamriel comes out. You could group together and everyone would have fun. So it's much more social. You can group with anyone you want, anytime you want, and we did it just for that reason. Now we have a very large and mature community, and we need to encourage, people who don't play yet to come in. And one of the ways is just let them play the entire game the moment they start.
So, but what I was wondering, if you bring out a DLC or an add-on or whatever you call it, there's always a chance for you guys to bring some new stuff and to make changes on a big scale. So of course you probably also got lots of critics out there because they love your game, but we know it. If people love something, they tend to be very hard when they criticize your game. So what did you take from criticism from the hardcore fans and put into the DLC or the add-on?
Yeah, that's a great question because we do listen a lot to the community, and you have to look through the passion sometimes and define the actual argument. And if you'll notice, we've had 5 DLCs so far. One of them was PvP, which was Imperial City. One of which was an Elder Scrolls style RPG, which was Orsinium. Thieves Guild Dark Brotherhood, both Elder Scrolls things. And Shadows of the Hist, which we just saw the trailer for, is more hardcore dungeons. So you see, we try to hit different types of players with different DLC, every quarter. So we try to. The game is so big that we have games within the game, and we have to make sure we give content to each different type.
With the game being so big as it already is, do you ever run into the problem that you only have a certain lore or a certain amount of cities and characters and races? And do you have to expand all that and create new stuff in the world?
So the Elder Scrolls franchise, the IP, is so big.
Mm-hmm.
There's 20 years of Elder Scrolls games, and we really haven't even scratched the surface yet. So we haven't really had to create anything new.
Okay.
Like our 4th DLC was Dark Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Brotherhood has been in every Elder Scrolls game since Morrowind, I think. No, since Daggerfall. So, we have lots of.
I've joined the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim, by the way. Just saying.
Yes, so did I.
So you have characters and worlds for years and years to come that you're planning to continue the game?
Yeah, we still have years of lore planned out, of expansions and DLC and things like that. So we have lots of...
Sorry that I have to ask again, but the Dark Brotherhood is the one where you murder people in their sleep, right?
That's how you start.
Exactly. That's how you can join the Dark Brotherhood. All right. Okay. So that was just my question. Sorry.
But it's a choice. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You
all
don't
right.
have to be
What? You do it.
When you're taking a look at the game and analyzing which features work especially well or which features the players like, is it something that you take out or think this is something that we can transfer to new single-player experience coming in the future as well?
Well, the single-player games are all done by Bethesda Game Studios, so we every day we meet with them about lore, making sure that the lore is appropriate. So we're set about 800 years before their games. So we have our own little window of time that we can play with, but they're in control of the overall timeline, like what happens after Skyrim and so forth. So that's up to them.
But also in terms of gameplay mechanics, is there some stuff that you guys can influence each other with?
Yeah, I mean, at Bethesda as a whole, all our studios kind of look at what the other studios do and get inspiration and so forth. But nothing specific I can tell you about, but we're always trying to be better than the other studios because that's what you do as game developers.
Sure. Since you launched 2 years ago already on PC, do you find the market for MMOs changing? Because I can imagine that it's getting that it's just constantly evolving and changing and probably getting harder, getting new players in. What are kind of like the major learnings that you had in these 2 years being on the market with your game?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, we had a really good PC game and a really good PC audience, but the new consoles have really changed things because they're so powerful. Xbox One and the PS4, and they've even announced new versions of, at least Xbox has, with more power, and so that makes it possible to do MMOs really for the first time on consoles, giant MMOs. So that has been a big change. When we started the project, it was in the old generation of consoles, so we weren't even thinking about console at all. And it was only after they announced the PS4 and the Xbox One that we even thought about doing it. So that was a big change for us, and I think that was the biggest disruption that we've had up until now.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to give our viewers a chance to ask you some questions, so I switch to German for a second. Wenn ihr Lust habt, ein paar Fragen zu stellen, also wenn ihr wirklich Interesse habt, jetzt nicht, ich sehe hier sehr viele Hater, das nervt mich schon wieder, aber egal. Wenn ihr die Chance nutzen wollt, Fragen zu stellen an den General Manager von dem Spiel, dann habt ihr jetzt die Chance, vielleicht sind da ja ein paar Teso-Zocker, die die Chance nutzen wollen, dann schreibt es in den Chat, wir geben das dann direkt weiter. When does TS6 come? Is the first question.
That is not my project, and you can ask the good guys at Bethesda about that.
So the chat already mentioned that we are supposed to include you in the interview as well, which I already feel bad for that we didn't. So I guess you are a lot of involved with the community, right? So kind of like constant exchanging thoughts and stuff and getting feedback from the community. What's that like?
That's exactly my job. It's fun. That's why I picked this job. I really like to interact with players, interact with people, work where others have their leisure time. It is always interesting, as Matt already said, to get the feedback, to see how we can improve, how our ideas for the game are perceived, and if we can take something back from the community, transform it and give it back to them to enjoy. Mm-hmm. So kind of reading whatever people have to say and then transform it, forward it to the developers. Although our developers are very active on social media and the forums too. They read a lot. They just need me to translate most of the time. It's
a big issue for us as well, because we are also dealing with a lot of community feedback that we're trying to respond to and to improve our product. What is kind of like your major platform or your platform or way that you're interacting with your community? Is it kind of like through your forums, or is it on social media, or you're trying to pull everything in and just get the results from all of these different areas?
There's no major platform. Nowadays you can't focus on just a forum. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, which is very important for short-term communication. Of course you got Twitch and YouTube here as the new channels. We use Instagram a lot just for publication. And Reddit, of course, I shouldn't forget that one. You have different communities, different kind of players in all these products, and it's always fun to interact with all of them. So I think it would be counterproductive to focus just on one group, and instead of we want to get the big picture.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for Matt. I don't know if you can answer it, but it sounds like a good question. I have no idea. I love the Shio Gorath quest line. Are there other plans for more Uncle Shio? Do you know what he means?
Yeah, that's one of the. It's one of my favorite quest lines in the game. It's basically with Shio Gorath, who's one of the Daedric princes. So, maybe in the future, but I'm not going to give any specifics right now. But,
all right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, somebody else asked, are there any new mounts in the new DLC?
Yeah, the little guy that you saw roaring at the end of the video is a new mount in the DLC.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you also mentioned that the transition to new consoles allowed you to technically improve the game. Are you already looking ahead at PS4 Neo and Xbox Scorpio, and PC is getting new graphics card as well? Are you already planning out for like in 2017, making changes to the technical platform, to the graphics and all that stuff?
Yeah, not to get too technical, but the fact that we started ESO as a PC game, and we run on a very wide range of PCs, from very low-end laptops to huge gaming rigs, makes it easier for us to do that on console, because the new consoles, from a development point of view, are very much like PCs. So we already run at 4K on PCs if you have a 4K capable card, and we already take advantage of these things. So as the consoles support them, we can too.
So as you have a lot of adjustment options on the PC, could you imagine having scalable options on a console as well? Saying like on an old PS4 you can run in 30 frames and the PS4 Neo can run at 60 frames per second?
Yeah, I mean, when the time comes, we'll look at that definitely, but that's just what we do on PC.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another interesting question here. How much do I have to play the game to play the content of the new DLC? So can I jump right in, or do I have like a level 250 character, or what about that?
All DLC in ESO is not level based. So you know, you have to be maybe 10th level just to understand combat and understand. But no, you don't have to be a hardcore player.
Okay. And are they going? The real Notifi asks, are they going to release a smartphone app with the game, like a companion or something in that scope?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, and we started researching it, and we might. Maybe someday. There's no plans right now, but it's something we want to do.
We're getting a lot of questions in here now. Somebody asked, is there some anti-cheat mechanism in the game? Are you actually fighting cheaters and banning people?
Yeah, that's been on the forums a lot lately. In fact, Kai can probably talk to that. But yes, we do have anti-cheat built into the game. We do find and ban cheaters regularly.
I like that question.
Yeah, well, we do ban cheaters regularly. Once in a while, players find new ways to cheat, and we have to update the anti-cheat detection. But we try to stay on top of it as much as we can.
I have another great question for you, Matt. How many trees are there in Elder Scrolls Online?
How many trees?
Trees.
I can say a lot.
That's probably true.
A lot.
All right. What else do we have? Why is Eintracht? Are you a soccer fan? Are you watching soccer?
Yes,
no.
I am.
Really?
I'm one of the rare American football fans, yes.
All right, okay, then I don't ask this question.
More Premier League than Bundesliga, though.
All right. Bundesliga?
Yeah.
A little bit? You know a little bit about Bundesliga?
Yeah.
You know Eintracht Frankfurt?
I do.
Say you love it?
Yeah, no, I know that Bayern beats them all the time, so...
Oh, right, okay.
There are also questions about the skill tree and the evolvement of the skill tree. Is that something that changed in the latest add-on and that you're still expanding on?
Yeah, so in every update we try to find little things to change based on community feedback. So that was one thing we changed, and you know, we always evaluate the change and make sure it works, and so in future updates we'll keep looking at that and seeing if it needs to be tweaked or modified.
Okay. Okay, people are still asking for Elder Scrolls 6, I can tell you that.
Is cross-platform gaming possible anytime soon?
So I get that question all the time. It's not a technical problem, it's a business problem. So, you know, we have platforms that we support with business partners, and, you know, we play by their rules.
Politics. You don't have to say anything. I understand.
That's an interesting question. What's your personal favorite quest in the game that you can recommend to our viewers?
Wow, there's so many. The one that I did recently that I liked the most was the main storyline in the Dark Brotherhood. So because it's a great story, it has a lot of backstabbing. You know, you have to murder people. But it's the story of the Dark Brotherhood DLC is really, really well done. If you remember Skyrim and Oblivion, the whole point of Dark Brotherhood is that you meet all the people in in the group, all the NPCs, and then things start happening to them, and you need to figure out the mystery, and it's a lot of fun.
What I also read before is a question: if somebody else is just wanting to start a fantasy MMO game, why should he choose the Elder Scrolls Online? What sets it apart from the competition? What do you think are the aspects that make your game special?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think because it's an Elder Scrolls game, it is a lot of people's first online role-playing game, you know, because Elder Scrolls is so well known. If you've never played a role-playing game before, it's easy to get into. Like, it's not complicated. The controls aren't complicated. It's easy to interact with the world, and then you see other players in there that you can interact with and make friends with in group and find the magic of online.
I don't know if you can answer this, but well, you can answer it, but I don't know how they came up with this question. But do you and your colleagues love Game of Thrones, and what's your favorite Game of Thrones character?
Of course, we like Game of Thrones. You know, it's fantasy.
Did you watch Game of Thrones and thought, well, that's stolen from Elder Scrolls 2, bitches. He stole that from us. From fucking Daggerfall.
I think it is always true to say that fantasy properties have all stolen from Lord of the Rings. So, you know, but that's the joke there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can pick a favorite character out of a show that has 1,000 characters. But
that's true.
But yeah, it's really good, and I do like the books better than the show. But that's just me.
All right.
Somebody's asking, are you planning for the future to make all of Tamriel explorable with upcoming DLCs?
Yeah, that's our plan, is to open up areas of the map every DLC, and you know, until Tamriel is full.
This is an interesting question as well. Will there be some large changes to the landscape due to destructions or some catastrophes that might happen in the future? Is that something that's on your roadmap?
Yeah, there's nothing planned for that now, but it's really cool when those kinds of things happen. So we'll think about it, but nothing right now.
Okay.
All right, I guess one more question. Then we have to call it.
Make it a good one.
I mean, the obvious question is to ask you if you're hyped about Half-Life 3. That's what somebody asked.
I saw the banner, but I can't comment on it.
What else do we have?
Can you discuss new weapons or items or spells which are in the game, which were introduced recently? Is there something majorly new that...
Yeah, I mean, in Shadows of the Hist, it's all about dungeons and finding Argonian lore and Argonian armor and weapons. That's the lizard people in the game. So there's a lot of cool stuff if you like those guys, but there's nothing specifically awesome about the weapons or armor there. They just look cool, and they're the next round of things in the game.
Okay. One other question is, for me personally, I used to play fantasy MMOs a couple of years ago, but then I grew more into playing single-player role-playing games, and I found it harder and harder in MMOs to get along alone. How far can you get in the Elder Scrolls Online if you don't want to play with a party of 8 or more people like all the time and just want to have a good time playing alone at home for an hour or two?
Yeah, this is really why I don't like to call Elder Scrolls Online an MMO. Because that has so much
for us doing it all the time.
That has so much baggage with it that you have to group, and there's you can play the whole game solo if you want. You won't be able to play dungeons and you won't be able to play trials, but you can play the story of every zone solo if you want, and only group when you see people. And many people do that. It's a valid way to play the game.
Okay.
All right. All those questions are personal stuff like pizza or pasta.
Pizza.
Kentucky Fried Chicken or McDonald's?
Vegetarian.
Huh?
Vegetarian.
All right, then. I don't know, fruits or vegetables?
Both.
All right.
That's interesting. Somebody said if you're bringing all the different places and areas from Tamriel into the game, then people can basically mod it and play Morrowind and all these games again inside the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, eventually we'll have all the areas. You know, Cyrodiil, our PvP zone, is the map from Oblivion, the game Oblivion. So if you, it's the same height map, same ground. So we'll continue to do those kinds of things. So yeah, you'll be able to go back to areas that you saw in older games.
All right. Okay, so one question we basically ask everyone. It's all right. It's a tough one. I don't even know. Do you know what putting skin is?
Which skill?
You know what putting is? Putting. Well, how do you call it in English? Isn't it called putting? Pudding. I checked the English word for putting.
This is very much a Rocket Beans meme. It's like this is always being discussed the way you like your pudding.
Yeah.
Wait,
No, you can't
I
know
translated for you.
He's translating.
But he's
It's
very
called
serious
pudding!
about this question now.
Pudding. Don't you know what pudding is?
Oh yeah, pudding. Okay.
Pudding, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And the skin.
Yeah, that's the English word.
All right.
Okay. And now I understand.
So,
See, I'm American. We have a different kind
so
of
what do
English.
you call it?
Pudding.
Pudding. Yeah, right. Okay. So, do you know when the pudding gets some skin?
Yeah,
Do you like that skin or do you hate it?
I like it.
All right. That's an important question for our viewers. So,
Okay, so am I supposed to ask a question about the game again, or do you want to continue?
no, let's stay on the pudding, please.
Okay. I'm just hearing we are done with our interview segment. That's what I'm getting. So thanks a lot for coming. Best of luck with the game, with all your future expansions that you're planning.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
yeah,
for
have a
having
good
me.
show.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, das war's. mit
Thanks for
Elder
being here,
Scrolls
guys.
Online. Wir haben nämlich gleich schon die nächsten Gäste da, deswegen sind wir raus. Eddie und ich, wir werden das Pudding-Problem jetzt noch ein bisschen weiter diskutieren. Bleibt dran, gleich geht's weiter. Tschüss.